Hi, everybody. Paul Foster from OnePlan. We're the official digital twin partner and GIS mapping partner of the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. In the background, you can see there one of our digital twins of Blenheim Palace triathlon. So what are the key reasons that Paris 2024 engaged us? It's the first time ever there's been a digital twin partner and GIS mapping partner. This hasn't existed at previous games. First one, delivering efficiencies across the games. The games are particularly inefficient in terms of how they're planned, and I'll come on to a little bit of that later on. Next one is significantly reduce the carbon emissions created by planning and delivering the games. Next one then was commercial opportunities that Digital Twin offers, showing fans of use from the seat, metaverse, but potential for it as well. And then the final one was delivering a digital legacy for the games, pre and post games. So some of the planning challenges that happen during the Olympic Games. Olympic Games are planned in PowerPoint, so people cut and paste from Google Maps or from CAD drawings and then dropping that into PowerPoint, particularly talking about overlay. So temporary cabins, containers, signs, human resources, everything you need. And that's millions and millions of items. And here's an example of a previous games dot planning. I won't say which games it was. This is planning where the human resources go for this particular venue. People going around with sticky labels, sticking them onto a piece of paper. They want to move one, they have to scratch it off, take it and move it somewhere else. And at the end of the meeting, someone rolls it up, takes it off, and only one person's got the plan. So it's pretty obvious what some of the challenges are there. So we need to move away from that. The big one is site visits. There's 206 Olympic committees, 188 Paralympic committees, the federations of sports, suppliers, the athletes and such like. That generates something like 21,000 tons of carbon emissions. It'll be even more for LA because it takes a long time to get there and it's a long distance to go. So what we do is create a single source of truth. And we have a 2D and 3D platform. We think we're the only system in the world that's going to connect a GIS mapping system together directly in real time with a digital twin asset. So what you can see here is the press centre in Stade de France. All the tables and chairs and infrastructure all being planned in one location. So if you're logged in and I'm logged in, we can kind of see each other's cursor and plan from anywhere. And everything with the Olympics is done at massive scale. There's 37 competition venues. There's 150 plus non-competition venues. There's tens and tens of millions of items of overlay, and here then zooming into the Stade de France Olympic Lounge. We then turn that environment into 3D. We connect in with Unreal Engine to build out this environment. And as you're moving this side, it also moves in real time in the GIS mapping system as well. So people can go around and see if the arrows are pointing in the right direction. Is it the correct typeface on here? We can simulate the sun's position and also artificial light as well. Very, very useful for the broadcasters. The venues are used for multiple purposes. Stade de France is a very good example. So it's used for rugby sevens and then also used for athletics. So we have a timeline function there, which enables them to plan all the logistics movements between those two sports and then pre and post games as well. We've done a lot of digital twinning of venues all over the world. So FIFA approached us to digitally twin the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. They were considered for 2026. The challenge was if you go there today, you won't see this stadium as it would look like in 2026. There's multiple upgrades needed. So we're able to put the whole kind of configuration for the World Cup into the stadium. Big challenge for the NFL stadiums is most of them aren't wide enough to accommodate a FIFA compliant pitch. American football pitch configuration is actually quite narrow. So we're able to kind of simulate that in a digital twin and able to identify issues where they may need to remove seats. Broadcast cameras, so all the broadcasters around the world are planning their camera positions in the digital twin. We're able to simulate the individual lens specification of any security camera, broadcast camera. So it's film back, sensor width, how far it can zoom, etc. Take account of reflections off surfaces and transparent surfaces. Yeah, teams all over the world not needing to go to Paris to plan this. Here's another example where people are using it to mitigate operational planning issues. This is the Intuit Dome in LA, the U home of the LA Clippers. Great project to work on as the team's owned by Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft. So coming to the top of this escalator, you've got three choices. Go right out into a plaza, straight ahead for food, or left for the food concessions. The challenge is when people get to the top of this escalator, they would stop and make that decision. Now they're able to look at this and think, actually, do we need signage and wayfinding on the way up the escalator to mitigate this before they open the venue in 2024? They've also able to, look at design decisions about the venue as well by going from anywhere. Showing fans the view from the seats, that's a big thing for Paris. They want to drive additional revenue utilising the digital twin. And then with the legacy, you saw the Commonwealth Stadium earlier. Here's that same stadium with a snowboard competition. So actually the bit of infrastructure you see in the middle is actually from Snowboard Canada. They provide that. They drop that into the stadium, and we can simulate the athletes' movements. We can sit in any seat and see exactly which seats can be sold. So very much, we come from a core of operational planning and security planning, but we are seeing a lot of these assets are now used for commercial purposes. Something we've been toying around with recently is crowdflow modeling. So there's various providers out there, Legion, In Control, Vism and such like, and you'll all have seen these, the way you traditionally look at crowdflow modeling. I think the blues are departing a venue, greens arriving, and the reds are doing something else. But what we've been playing around with is testing and looking at that in the digital twin asset. So here's an example of a stadium, an arena up in Detroit, where we turned the traditional crowdflow modeling actually into kind of people within the model, so you can plan and mitigate issues. The games has real challenges with data integrity. There's lots of challenges because so much information is flowing around in different sources. So the big challenge that we found, and this exists across other venues as well, is enabling data integrity. So what we're finding is that digital twin projects are identifying these data integrity issues, and then we're looking at how we can kind of change the organization to adapt to this. And that's where you get the real efficiency savings by having single source of truth data. So, really big thing. We think hopefully it can have a big impact across future games as well. We're already starting to work with a number of the LA venues. In the background here is our digital twin of Paris. We've got about 5 square kilometers in there. For the first time ever, the opening ceremony for the Olympic Games will not be in a stadium. It'll be along the river in Paris. And as you can imagine, some serious kind of challenges with that, having all those athletes going on boats along the river and all the spectators and everything around that. So looking at what kind of simulations can potentially be done to mitigate some of those issues and challenges. Okay, I appreciate that was pretty quick, but hopefully of interest, and I'm happy to take any questions later on.